Greetings everybody, it is Rob from Tower Games, and we are here with some spoilers from the Mad Titan Shadow campaign box for Marvel Champions. The cards have been spoiled, so let's kind of talk about the cards before we actually get the game in our hands. Starting with Monica Rambeau, otherwise known as Spectrum, I believe is her actual superhero name. We saw some of these cards already announced, but the full list has been released. So, for those that are unaware, Spectrum works where she has 3 different energy form types that she can kind of go through and change between. Each one gives her a different stat boost. So we can see Monica Rambeau here, 3 recovery, 11 hit points, hand size of 6. When she comes into play, the 3 energy form upgrades kind of sit on the side, face down. And basically when she flips up, she'll activate one of them. But when she comes back down to her alter ego form, all the energy forms flip back down. Her hero form, Spectrum, has a 1/1/1 across the board. And you can see it says, once she flips up, you pick one of the types of energy and you flip it up to change to that energy form. And it gives you a specific stat boost. It will be noted she is aerial and she is an Avenger. Those will both be important for some of the cards that come in her pack. So we have Gamma is one of the forms. Spectrum gets +2 attack. After you change to this form, deal 1 damage to an enemy, and it has a physical resource. Again, that will also come into play. Next is Photon, which is +2 thwart. Remove 1 threat from a scheme, and that's a mental resource. And then Pulsar is a +2 defense, heal 1 damage, and that's an energy resource. So those are the 3 different energy types. So basically, whichever stat you choose will become a 3 at that point. So it should be a 3/1/1 in some stat line, depending on what you pick. And each one has a different resource attached to it. So what cards does she have in her actual deck? Well, she has her signature ally is Blue Marvel, 3 cost ally, 2 thwart, 2 attack, 3 health. And after he enters play, change energy forms. So he lets you change to a different form if you need to. So say you're in Gamma and you need to go into Photon, you can use Blue Marvel to switch yourself. And he's a decent ally all around in terms of stat lines. Not bad. 4 thwart or 4 attack and a block is pretty good. Energy Duplication is the card that we were talking about. So it's an upgrade, 2 cost. You exhaust it and it generates the printed resource on your energy form. So if you are in Gamma form, it will generate physical resources. If you are in Pulsar form, it'll generate energy resources and so forth. And we have 2 copies of those. So those are your like resource generating cards in your pool. We then have Gamma Blast, 3 cost event. Change to the Gamma energy form and deal 7 damage to an enemy. If you are already in Gamma energy form, this attack gains overkill. So there's a few things to know about this. 1, it's a superpower, so Death Focus will come into play to help with this a lot. 2, remember when you change into Gamma form, you get 1 damage as well. So it basically is a 3 for 8 at that point. But if you didn't have to flip, it's an overkill attack instead anyway. So this is your main damaging spell. And that's a pretty powerful spell, especially considering that it is a superpower. And we get 1, 2, 3 copies of that. So she has 3 damaging spells that can easily be death focused to become a 2 for 8. And it also puts you into attack mode so you can attack to do an extra 3 damage on top of that. So you're looking right there, 11 damage. Photon Speed, 2 cost event, also a superpower, so it can become a 1. Change to Photon and remove 4 threat from a scheme. if you are already in Photon, ignores the crisis icon. So this is good because it's a 2 for 5 with the flip extra icon. And it gives you the ability to avoid crisis if you need to. Like, say there's a crisis scheme out and there's no way to get to the main scheme in time and you have to deal with it. Crisis Averted is a justice card that we have. I believe that only hits the main scheme. And it's a 3 for, I believe, 6, I want to say. But it is big kind of important outside. This one can do both. So this is your thwarting card. Solid thwarting card. I mean, nothing else to say about it. Again, it is a superpower. The Death Focus is going to be an auto include in her deck, it looks like. This will make this a 1 for 5. Pulsar Shield, guess what? It is also a superpower. This is when you defend, change to Pulsar energy form and Ready Spectrum. If you are already in Pulsar, she gains Retaliate 1. So this is cool because you can block with her. You flip to Pulsar so you have a 3 defense and you ready. So you get a 3 defense, but you automatically ready yourself, but you still defended, so you have a 3 defense. And you, if you didn't have to flip, you have the Retaliate 1. And a Heal 1 if you did flip. So that's a pretty powerful card, all for just 1. And again, that focus makes it a 0. So 3 copies of that. And then the last card is Speed of Light, I believe. Change energy forms and draw 1 card. So this lets you change your form and just pick a card for it. And I believe we have 3 of those. So the whole set is pretty, like, laid out there for you. 3 copies of each card that affects a specific type. 3 of Speed of Light. 2 of the resource generating ones. Her ally. And then all her other Photon cards. So I think she has some real potential based on these cards alone. The damaging spell, the damaging attack is really strong. The thwarting is really has high potential. Speed of Light helps you to get you in what position you need to be. And this is all just with her actual cards and not whatever else you add into her deck. So speaking of that, let us hop over to those momentarily and see what cards she comes with. So I'll take a quick look just to show you guys her. Before we go into that, I'll show you the obligation and stuff. So her obligation is you cannot change energy forms. And you must exhaust to remove loss of control from the game. So you have to flip down and exhaust, basically. It does not force you to flip. It's a bit different than the normal ones. It just locks you in one place until you kind of come down and relax from it. Not the worst one at all. Her nemesis is Radioactive Man, which I believe we've seen in an encounter set. 6 health, 1 scheme, 1 attack. Whenever he activates, he does 1 damage to each creature you control. I believe he has a similar ability in his other card. His scheme is Radioactive Man. Radioactive Meltdown, sorry. And you can kind of see some of it, but it is a 2 threat per player, crisis icon, and when defeated, deal 1 damage to everything. And then she has Sap Power, which pretty much you take 1 damage every turn until you spend 2 energy resources in Alter Ego. It has to be. So you have to flip down to spend that. And then he has Radioactive Blast, which either places 2 threat on the main or take 2 damage. So overall, his encounter set his nemesis set is not that bad. I think it's definitely, considering the potential that Spectrum has as a whole, definitely not terrible at all. But now let's go to the real shining stuff. She comes with leadership. All right. So, Captain America, the ally. 6 cost ally, 2 threat, 2 attack, 4 health, toughness. Reduce the cost to play Captain America by 1 for each Avenger character you control. Now, here's the issue I have with this. So say you have your hero is an Avenger, so that's 1. Say you have 2 more allies with Avenger, that's 3. That makes them a 3 cost, 2 threat, 2 attack, 4 health, and toughness. That's pretty powerful. We saw some other cards in that I believe they should be in this one, that can make you, or they're in the Nebula one or one of the other ones, about dealing damage based on the amount of health on the cost of a card. So that would be a big thing for Captain America. So it's an okay card. Toughness makes him have a free block for leadership, which is pretty good. And he can do, 6 attack, 6 thwart, plus another block for 2 blocks. Or potentially 3 cost if you have a lot of Avengers out. So I think it maybe not an auto-include in every deck, but if you're playing a heavy Avengers deck, definitely will probably be in there. Power Man. 3 cost, 1 thwart, 0 attack with double consequential. 3 health. He enters play with 2 cheat counters on him. Discard any number of cheat counters from Power Man. He gets +2 attack for each cheat counter. So he can either do 2 attacks of 2 or 1 attack of 4. I guess that's alright. I mean, it's a bit weird. I guess the 3 cost makes him not bad for having that much, for being able to do 3 cost ally for 4 attack, potentially. And then still block. Because that makes him okay in that regard. Otherwise, doesn't blow me away with his abilities, to be honest. White Tiger. We've seen White Tiger before as a campaign ally in Rise of Red Skull. 3 cost ally, 2 threat, 2 attack, 2 health. Very, not that much health. Avenger. After you play her from your hand, keynote, draw X cards to a maximum of 3, where X is equal to the villain's stage number. If the villain has no stage number, draw 1 card. So in standard, it's draw 1 card or draw 2 cards. Expert, draw 2 or draw 3. So that's pretty good, actually. For a similar, it's almost like another, kind of like a Maria Hill. Obviously, Maria Hill is for everybody, but you can draw more cards for yourself with White Tiger. And the picture does look pretty cool, I have to say. I mean, Kalu, 2 cost, 1 thwart, 1 attack, 2 health. When he enters play, search the top 5 cards of your deck for an event and add it to your hand. That is good, especially considering for Spectrum, who has all those event cards that she wants to play, all those superpowers. So getting that into your hand will be key. Also for people like Star-Lord to find Sliding Shot, etc. Captain America to get Heroic Strike or whatever other card you may need. That is definitely a good ability. He's cheap. He's an Avenger and a Mystic. So 2 interesting traits for that one. I think Kalu will definitely see a lot of play. And giving you a way to set up even something simple like a Blaze of Glory could technically be fetched out. Mighty Avengers. We have our first team card. Play under any player's control, max 1 team card per player. If each of the characters you control has the Avenger trait, each ally you control gets +1 thwart and +1 attack. So finally we have something that makes it worth having Avengers, like a full Avenger deck. Before we had Avengers Assemble was I think the actual card, but this is one that stays out. As long as everybody has Avengers on your board, you get +1 thwart and +1 attack. Or your allies do. So, suddenly just to think about it for a second, just to go back. He becomes a 2/2. White Tiger becomes a 3/3. Our Man becomes a 3 or 5 damage, a swing attack. Captain America becomes a 3/3, potentially for 3 cost. That's an insane value if you can get it set up in time and have your allies in play. So those are people who want to play like Avenger decks, like Avenger Voltron decks, kind of. That you can make some super powerful allies with this card. Mass Attack. Hero action attack. Exhaust 3 allies you control that share a trait with your hero. Cough cough, Avenger. Deal X damage to an enemy where X is the total attack of those allies and your hero. So for 3 cost, you exhaust 3 allies and you get to do all their damage plus your damage in 1 card. So again, and I believe they did something similar in the article when they've announced this. We'll go back and look. And say you have many Avengers out as well. So if you have many Avengers out and you have allies, so we'll use Cap, Kalu, and White Tiger. So 2, 3, so that's 5, and 3 is 6. I don't know why I just did, sorry. 2, 3, 5, 3, 8. I saw the 6 when I said that. So that's 8 damage, plus say you're in Gamma. So another 3. So that's 3 for 11. And remember, you haven't actually attacked yourself. You could attack yourself 3 for 14. And then potentially do another 7 with the Gamma Blast on top of that. 21 damage, just like that. And your allies don't take consequential damage for it either. Pretty powerful. Imagine doing this with like a Goliath or someone like that. He exhausts, but that doesn't matter because he discards anyway. But maybe you could get him ready and then attack again. There's a lot of options for it. Moxie, we've already seen before. That's an old card. Here's a new card, and this card is insane. Band Together. This card generates a wild resource for each ally you control. So if you have 3 allies, it's a 3 resource card. If you have 2 allies, it's a 2 resource card. Unfortunately, if you have 0 allies, it is a dead card in your hand, literally. Has no value to you. Doesn't even have a resource, actually. So that means you can't even play it. That's the one downside to Band Together. I know people have seen this card and seen how amazing it can be, but the fact that it requires you to have at least 1 ally out to get any value out of it is important. This card has been spoiled a bit. Blade, Eric Brooks. And he is a 1 cost ally, 1 thwart, 2 attack, and 3 health. Avenger and a vampire. Key thing to note, he does not have any consequential damage on either of his abilities, thwart or attack. However, he has a 4th response. After he thwarts or attacks, choose to either spend a physical resource from your hand, important, or discard blade. So you cannot like use one of your energy generating cards on the field to pay for him. It has to be from your hand. So basically every time you use him, you have to pay a card with the physical resource on it. But he can technically go on forever. He's a vampire. Makes sense. So, and he's cheap at a 1 cost. That's insane. If you're playing Captain America, he's free, basically, if he's the first ally out. So, comes out, 2 costs, just, you know, a Hulk deck to have a lot of physical resource cards. To see him have play. That's a very dangerous card, and especially the fact that as long as you have a way to build him and pay for him, more importantly, he can be real powerful. Avengers Tower, we've already seen, but it makes sense that you would have this for all the Avenger cards. Probably would see more play in this with all these new cards, especially if you think increasing your ally limit by 1, now you suddenly can have 4 allies out. Captain America only costs you 2 then. Then we have Ready to Rumble. Play on any player's control. After you change form, discard this card and ready your hero. So this is an interesting card, I must say, because what it means is you can be an alter ego, you can recover, flip up, and then Ready to Rumble will ready you so you can still use your basic ability. That's actually could be useful actually. For those times when you have to like heal, or even, you know, say maybe you get hit with your obligation and you got to flip down and exhaust to deal with your obligation. Well, now Ready to Rumble gets you right back into the fight and you're fine, ready to go. So that's a solid card as well. And of course, our resource cards. So I believe, just want to make sure I didn't miss anything, those are all the cards that we've seen for her. So, with that being said, what do we think about Spectrum and the cards we're getting? First, let's talk about Spectrum. Spectrum looks insane. I think she's definitely going to be mid to high tier of a character, just looking at her cards. High damage potential, high threat potential, her ability to block as well, so she can play pretty much any aspect. She comes with leadership, and all the Avenger cards that we get make it really crazy on top of that. But she could also do tons of stuff with her other abilities as well. So, it makes her really versatile. That helps a lot. So I think she's going to be a really powerful and strong hero. As for the leadership cards, I mean, where do you begin? Between Band Together, the Team Avenger card, and the Heroic Attack, and, you know, Captain America ally, and so forth, there's just a lot there to unpack. And I think it's going to finally make Avengers really strong. I'm hoping that we get something similar for like Guardians as well, and more other traits. Like we've seen some play with Ariel and Avengers, but it's finally good to see some cards that can really benefit by having a board full of Avengers out there. So I think that's a solid thing. Leadership again gets some really powerful cards as always, but it is what it is. And I think Spectrum looks really solid. So with that, I hope you guys enjoy this. Hope what you guys think about the new Spectrum spoilers. And let me know in the comments down below, as well as stay tuned for some more content from the Mad Titan Shadow spoilers. We will be taking a look at the next hero in the campaign box, Adam Warlock himself. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys are enjoying this Marvel Champions content.